In this video, I want to explain what WebRTC is and how does a WebRTC connection get established under the hood. But first of all, what is WebRTC? WebRTC stands for Web Real-Time Communication, and in WebRTC, there are no servers involved to transfer real-time data from one client to another. The WebRTC connections are peer-to-peer, and because of which sending data through the WebRTC is very simple. And all of this is done through WebRTC APIs, which are available for almost all the platforms. When I said that there are no servers required for WebRTC to work, I was not completely right about it. There are servers required initially for the client computers to get connected, but once the connection is established, then these clients can communicate with each other without the need of having a server in the middle. The transfer of data is peer-to-peer once they are connected. So on the surface, what happens is this client computer will send some data about itself to the signaling server, and then the signaling server will send that data to the other client, and then the client will store this data. After that, this client will send data about itself to the server, and then the server will send that data to this client. And now both these client computers know about each other, so the connection will get established between them, and now they can send their data without the need of having the server. Now this was all surface level information. Let's take a look at what is the data that these guys are sending, because of which the RTC connection is happening. Also, this signaling server is not anything fancy, it is just a normal server, and the only purpose of this server is to get the data of the clients exchanged. We are calling it a signaling server because the process of sending the data from one client to another in WebRTC is called signaling. So this server is not anything fancy, it is a normal server. You could use anything that gets the data exchanged. Now the first step to a successful WebRTC connection is the creation of offers. So if this client wants to connect with this client, then it will create an offer. You can imagine this offer to be an object, maybe a JavaScript object. I hope you all are familiar with JavaScript. So this offer object is going to have something called as an SDP in it, and this SDP stands for Session Description Protocol, and the SDP is basically the media configuration of the client. Media configuration like does this client want to send the video or the audio or both, and many other stuff like that. So the SDP is nothing but the media configuration of this client. So client 1 will create an offer that has the media configuration, which is called SDP in technical terms, and it will send the SDP to the signaling server, and then the signaling server will send that SDP to the other client, and the other client will store the SDP of client 1 on its local memory. Once this client has stored the offer of the other client, it will have to create its answer in response to that offer, which is the media configuration of this client. And then it will send this SDP to the signaling server, and the signaling server will send that answer which contains the SDP to the other client. And now these guys know about the media configurations of each other, but they still do not know how to connect with each other. And for that they will have to transfer their network information. Now what is this network configuration data that needs to be transferred for the connection to happen? Well, as soon as this client creates the offer, then something called as ICE candidates start coming from the WebRTC's API. But where do these ICE candidates come from? ICE candidates are generated from something called as stun and turn servers. And now to be able to get the ICE candidates from the stun and turn servers for this client, what it needs to do is it has to provide the URL of the stun and turn servers to the WebRTC's API. And then as soon as this client creates an offer, the WebRTC's API will start to get ICE candidates from the stun and the turn servers. And now the job for this client is to send this ICE candidates to the other client. So it will send the ICE candidate to the server first, and then the server will send that candidate to the client too. Now in the same way, when this client creates the answer, the ICE candidates for this guy will also start to come from the stun and turn servers, and they just need to be transported through the signaling server to the client. And now both these guys have the network information about each other, and using that network information they can connect peer to peer. And now whatever data that they will send through the WebRTC's API will be peer to peer between them.